Wait.
Welcome.
Oh. Okay. Oh.
Pardon me, I'm sorry. Nice to meet you.
Thanks.
Testing. Okay. Just so everyone knows, every time Joel Klatt comes into a room, that song plays. So now you get a preview into what his life is like.
That's right. That's right. It's presidential
Yes, it
in
is.
some respects. Welcome, everyone, to this great event. Please take your seats, and we'll get started. Thank you for joining us here for the Positive Coaching Alliance 15th Annual National Youth Sports Awards Dinner and Auction. 15. Amazing.
That's great.
We want to first by thanking our sponsor, Deloitte, and everything that they do for the organization. Molly and I, this is Molly McGrath from Fox Sports. I'm Joel Klatt. We're going to host the event this evening. You're going to hear more from Molly because, quite frankly, she's just more talented than I am. So
Please.
I'll get out of the way shortly. We both are on Fox Sports and teammates. We are on the same crew together, and it's been phenomenal working with Molly. She was a cheerleader at Boston College. Works really hard, dedicated to her craft, and it's been a pleasure working with her.
Aw.
I did want to start, I know this is going to be awkward just standing there for a while, but I do want to start really quickly because I'm so excited to be here for this event. My father was a high school football coach for 30 years, and I love those individuals that positively impact youth athletics. And so to be here is really special. I do have to share one story, and I think it's one of the reasons why my dad was never actually honored at something like this. So he was a former Marine. He fought in the Vietnam War, and then after he was out of the service, he was a high school football coach and a fantastic motivator. He had all these little, we all remember those speeches that maybe high school coaches gave us during the course of our careers. He had this one in particular, and I had seen it a lot because I was around the team as a little boy and would ride the buses, and so I had seen this a few different times, but because I thought it was so special for my teammates, I never told them what was going to happen. So this in particular speech that he would give before a game, he would take a vase, glass vase. My mom hated it because he would always use these glass vases from the house, and he would fill it with uncooked lima beans, and it would be there, and that would signify all the adversity that a team goes through, the muck and mire, right? The mud and everything that goes on. We happen to be black and silver were our team colors, and so he would take a ping pong ball and he'd paint it black. And he would start giving this speech, and you'd get fired up, like all good coaches and motivators do, and he'd start talking about the adversity that our team was going through and how we were going to persevere through hard work and determination. And he would take the ping pong ball and he would stuff it down into the bottom of the vase underneath all these beans, and he would start to shake it. So now you've got almost this rhythmic thing going on in the locker room. It's dead quiet. They're just hanging on every word from Coach Klatt. And he would start shaking about the adversity, and he would name off, maybe it was a previous loss or an injury, and he would start to specifically talk about the adversity going through our season. And he would always tell the trainers, don't have anyone stand in front of the showers, okay? Because there's like a big ending to this speech. And there was this sophomore, and it was his first time on the varsity, and he didn't have a good spot in the locker room, so he was like, oh man, there's an empty spot. He stands right in front of the shower. So here's Coach Klatt. He's going, we're going to persevere, and we're going to come out here, and we're going to kick their butts. And then that ping pong ball, all of a sudden, it rises to the top while he's shaking it. So then the black ping pong ball comes up. Everyone's fired up. He pulls it out, and he says, that's why we're going to go out and win. And he turns around and throws the vase. And the kid's standing there like this. Ricochets off his head. Team barrels out of the locker room. Kid goes down in a heap of blood. He's got to get stitches, and my dad's sitting there like, oh my goodness. So anyways, I'm really thankful to be here.
Now you can see what Joel's pregame speeches are like for Fox College football, everybody. He learned from the best, his dad. Now, the beginning of this partnership started back in January after the Seahawks-Panthers playoff game when it was announced on the Fox post-game coverage that the PCA would be a Fox Sports Supports beneficiary for 2016 and 2017. So, in addition to our time together tonight, you'll be seeing and hearing much more about PCA on Fox and Fox Sports, including a public service announcement that's never been before seen, and we're going to have the world premiere of it right now. So please turn your attention to the screens.
Valuable tips and tools to help our kids perform their best while keeping sports enjoyable for everyone. Positive Coaching Alliance, creating better athletes, better people.
That was great.
For those of you that don't know, that's Alexi Lawless, one of our fine soccer analysts. We're very proud of that. It was just finished up recently, and for the big unveiling. This PSA and others like it are going to start airing in the coming weeks. And since that announcement back in January about this partnership, we've learned a lot about Positive Coaching Alliance. We know that you are all about developing better athletes and better people by offering all youth in our nation a positive, character-building youth and high school sports experience. That's important because, as we see so often in the games that we cover, better athletes make for more thrilling competition. We all know that. But what really turns a broadcast into a compelling viewership experience is when those great athletes are also great people. We have a much more moving and inspirational story to tell.
Yeah, that's right, Joel. As a sideline reporter, those inspirational stories are kind of my bread and butter. I love hearing about those things. That's what makes sports more human and more real. And I know for a fact that I wouldn't be standing here today in front of all of you in this job if it wasn't for a coach who impacted my life. My cheerleading coach at Boston College was someone who believed in me when I had no idea who I was. I didn't even believe in myself. I tried out for the team, and I wasn't good enough. I didn't have the right gymnastic skills for the team, but she gave me a chance, and she saw something in me that I don't even think I saw in myself. So I worked extremely hard over my 4 years at Boston College, and I went from the worst athlete on the team with the least experience to one of the most experienced ones, and I was the captain of my team my senior year. And I owe all of that to her. And she was someone who really pushed me off of the field as well. I told her, I said, Lauren, her name's Lauren Belden. I told her, I said, Lauren, I want to be a sports reporter. I don't know how to do it. There are no real courses for that here at Boston College. And she said, well, you know all the coaches. You're the cheerleading captain now. Why don't you go to the athletic director? So I went to the athletic director, and I told him, I said, I think that you should make me the sports reporter, and I think you should let me sit down with your coaches every week, and I'll have a coaches show. And I had all these amazing ideas, and believe it or not, he said yes. And so that's how I got the experience that I had to get me my first on-air job, and I owe it all to a coach who really impacted my life, and without knowing it, she impacted my career as well.
Trust me, I see that tenacity every single week when Molly's sitting there waiting for interviews for these head coaches. She does a tremendous job. Obviously, I've had coaches that have impacted my life in a positive way. My dad never threw a vase off my head, but I've seen it even, more so and from a different angle now that I have my own children. And I don't think, even though I, in hindsight, recognize the importance that coaches have had throughout my entire process, now I see my own son. He's only 4.5 years old, and it's not an organized sport, but he goes to this sports camp where we're at. We live in Manhattan Beach, down in Los Angeles, and Fernando Pincy is the coach at sports camp. And Fernando is the most patient guy I've ever met in my life. His day consists of 3 and 4-year-olds that he's trying to teach things like soccer and t-ball and basketball. And my son, because he's my son, is a little wild. He's a little rambunctious. He's not the greatest listener in the world, but he loves to have fun. And it was always, for me, a straining experience because I wanted so badly for him, to be well behaved out there. And I would sit there and, I would wince a little bit. And my wife would say, just relax. He'll be all right. Just relax. And Fernando Pincy, through positivity and patience, got my son to the point where he loves soccer and t-ball and basketball. That is priceless from a father's standpoint. And I know I'm thankful for Coach Fernando, as my son calls him, as I am thankful for so many coaches in my own experience.